Hey guys, it's me Chandra again, and today's video is about Arlecchino. Mostly I'm just yapping about Arlecchino and I just tell whatever that I know about Arlecchino. But take note, this is no tips or guide something related to Arlecchino, because I will do that later when she will release. But so far right now I only mostly yapping about her, and this is mostly because I think people already know, especially if you follow leaks and something like that. Arlecchino actually have so much roller coaster emotion that she gets so much changes, she get like so much stuff that people talk. Some people say bad, some people say good, some people say this, that. Like it makes like Arlecchino is one of the most problematic character because she has so much roller coaster right now in the beta. So that's the thing that I want to discuss. But in the end, if you told me that, yeah, I just spread misinformation, fake, this is like make up story or something like that, yeah, feel free to do so. Because in the end, I just barely know one, and I told you at the first that I'm only yapping about Arlecchino, so you maybe believe me or not. So let's get started. So let's start first with how actually Arlecchino becomes so problematic, and a lot of people discussing about this Arlecchino, like so much roller coaster emotion. Long story short is that Arlecchino is one of the characters that changes a lot in the beta, literally a lot. It's been a while, I think I see some of the character that changes have a lot like this. Probably Yai or Ayato, I don't know, or something like it's already 2 series, but in a while never changed crazy like this. He changed a lot right now, and because of that, like people feels like, oh, actually they buff and then nerf, buff, nerf, and just people just like feels like roller coaster motion, good, bad, something like that. And until last week, I think Arlecchino get another changes. And there's like two separation, like literally community. CN tell like, okay, Arlecchino actually getting buff. And then global say, like the three craft, they say no, it's a nerf. So it's kind of like arguing. So come to the point, it feels like they say Arlecchino good and there's Arlecchino bad. Another problematic stuff about Arlecchino, which is pretty crucial, is that whenever she use burst, some of people say it's clearing bone of life and some people say it's no. And that's actually a pretty much big deal in Arlecchino. And turn out to be the real one. It's clear the bone of life after you using burst, and that actually quite huge nerf also to Arlecchino, because people before assume that she will maintain her bone of life when using burst, but technically she is not. And that's one of the reasons too what makes her power like feels very conflicted by people. And as far as I know, even until last week, whatever the changes that they say she getting buff or nerf, in the end her kit is still not that great. She still have a lot of problem. Couple of them is that, so first reason is that Arlecchino, whenever you use burst, it will reset the bone of life. This is another problematic on her kit, because let's say you already start to use your rotation on it, right? You use skill and then you use charge attack to gain bone of life in here, and yes, she gets stacked. But maybe only 2 or 3 seconds suddenly enemy hit you very hard and you have no choice to use burst. And yeah, suddenly just clear your bone of life. That means you just waste your skill. Yeah, you can say it reset your skill again, you can use again, but you have a decision where should you swap early your rotation, meaning your rotation will become cringe, because if you swap early, that means some of your character cooldown not even ready yet. Or other than that, you just like do the skill again, but in the end just also make your rotation is not smooth. Whatever you choose become not smooth because you messed up. You use the burst early because you need to survive, so because of that, it makes her rotation kinda cringe. And not just like DPS loss. Maybe some of you say, yeah, you can relying on like keep doing normal attack because it will reduce the cooldown. As far as I know also, it will not enough. You still need to wait. So in the end, it will give you a cringe rotation. And second reason is that last week, Arlecchino max of the bone of life, if I'm not wrong, it's only around like 70-80%, something around that. And actually, it's not that much. So I forgot to mention is that basically Bone of Life is the main source damage of Arlecchino, meaning if she get more stack of Bone of Life, she will deal more damage. If she get lesser, that means she will deal lesser damage. And this one, after you skill and do charge attack, she will gain Bone of Life, but time to time it will decreasing. So in here that if you want to maximize your DPS, you need to do perfect rotation and not getting interrupted by enemy. But once you're getting interrupted by enemy, you make a cringe rotation, meaning you will waste like time, right? That means her bone of life time to time decreasing. That means maybe on that time you back to Arlecchino again is only around 30%. That means you already lose a lot of DPS. And here is also pretty not good for Arlecchino. And third, I actually already mentioned, but I forgot to highlight the point, which is her survivability is relatively low. Because I already give you an example, whenever you use your skill, let's say you only stay on field around 2 or 3 seconds, right? And suddenly the enemy hit you very hard. You just on field, but the enemy hit you very hard. So you only have two decisions. Keep continuing DPS with the risk that you may die, and the only that you can rely is by dodging, or you just heal back, but again, you sacrifice your DPS or make your rotation not really that. So because of that, somehow it makes Arlechhino damage overall is not really satisfying. It's not that she not dealing a good damage, but her damage from the lowest to the highest is pretty huge. Depends how you play or how good you play. The worse you play, her damage become very bad, but if you play very good, it's around wisely or a little bit better. So that game is actually pretty huge like that. So considering like that, this character like have so much fancy mechanic that meant to be like playing like high risk high reward turn out to be like high risk with no reward and sacrificing too much. You have to play optimally, you cannot have skill issue. It makes this character feels like it's good, but it's too technical and you need to sacrifice a lot, and feels like why you want to use this character if Neuvillete is just like literally power simulator, or even like Hutao is just basically charge attack. It's even more technical than Arlechhino, to be honest, and even Sino. It makes like her damage not even close to Arlechhino, and that's not really great with the character that have this kind of very technical mechanic. So because of that, last week Arlechhino is not really that great. But luckily this week they have another changes, and this is where actually Arlechhino getting buffed. This is actually buff. So for Arlechhino main or the people that really hyped for her, this is basically a good news, but hopefully they will not change again because this is not finalized, but hopefully they will not change. Usually on this week they will not change anymore, but who knows, because this character changes a lot. So long story short, this week is basically give her a lot better in terms of her damage, her playstyle, quality of life, even for skill issue player. Finally, it's not really that punishable like before. You don't need to become so technical right now. Overall, her damage increase around 14 to 15% for this week changes, that's actually pretty good. That's almost equal like you get one signature weapon from like you use your 4-star weapon, that's pretty good. And a couple of things I want to mention in here. Finally, they fixed couple of the things that I will say it's problematic on her. Her cringe rotation right now is already pretty much minimal. Right now, you don't really have to rely on burst. So basically, burst right now is mostly your kind of source of survivability. But if you want to rely on skill alone, yes, you can, because the reduction cooldown also pretty good. Right now, you can almost get 100% uptime. Even wait, it's not really that long as before, so it's pretty much a good changes all in all. And second is that her bone of life stack, finally they increased, if I'm not wrong, from 70 to 80%, they increased over 100%, and that's actually huge for quality of life. Meaning in here, if you have like cringe rotation, you getting interrupted by enemy, it's supposed to be not very punishable. That means like, yeah, you still lose DPS, but at least you still pretty much have high bone of life. Maybe you getting interrupted, right? You have right now maybe only around 7 to 80% bone of life, but that's still huge compared before. Probably only have like 30% or 40, something like that. Then that's huge. You still have more bone of life, and technically you can even play longer in on-field. Any mistakes right now, it's not really as punishable as before. You don't need to become like very technical, very become expert, like play this perfectly. Now it's getting compensated. You lose DPS, but it's not as bad as before. So that's actually a good quality of life and also damage. And the last thing I want to mention, that her heal also increased, and that's actually good for quality of life, increasing survivability. Right now, if your HP probably like less than 30%, you use the burst, it's almost full or even full. Before it's usually like only more than half. Right now it's even almost full, which is good. So overall right now her performance increased from around Pricely level right now increased almost close to Arlechhino or Neuvillete, which is good. And if you play in Pepperise, if you're good at min-maxing, it can be even comparable with them, that's actually already good buff. So yeah, hopefully they will not any more changes anymore, because man, Arlechhino gets so much roller coaster emotion right now. And that's about Arlechhino kit. Now let's talk about something revolving around Arlechhino will start what she did the best in terms of reaction. Of course, I can be wrong, but as far as I know, the best one is still Vaporize, because the Vaporize still allow her to do like speed running and stuff, because Vaporize just have very high scaling, so you can do speed run. So Vaporize still pretty much very good. But other than that, there's a good alternative, which is Overload. Not so much character that doing good in Overload, and Arlechhino is one of them that relatively good, so that's actually a good news. So you can play in the Overload. Other than that, Melt, but Melt still not really that great, mostly because I feel our unit right now in Cryo it's not really sufficient as an outfielder, so maybe soon. But right now melt is not really great. So in short, probably if you want to use Arlechhino, it's mostly revolving around Vaporize or Overload. Her teams is pretty much just classic type of Vaporize team, like Rational National type variant, which is Arlechhino, Kazuha, Xingqiu, and Bennett, something like that. Or you want like Arlechhino, Xiangling, Bennett with Xingqiu, something like that, it still can work. Or you want to play Overload, and you can put with Arlechhino, Official, or Yae, then Beidou and Bennett. And you can also play just like mix Overload and Fape, which is Arlechhino, any maybe Beidou, Yae, Official, and then Xingqiu or Yaland, and then Bennett, something like that. And that's everything that I want to yap about Arlechhino. And back again to the topic that you still wonder, is she actually right now problematic, really bad right now? Actually, no more, because these current changes, it just make Arlechhino a lot more flexible, a lot more user-friendly. It can better like works with casual and even people that want to min-maxing. It still have room for both of them, and I think it's good balance right now. And also her damage already pretty much increased. So it pretty much make Arlechhino right now feels a lot better to play, and the high risk is pretty much right now already quite rewarding. It's not like before that the high risk not rewarding. Right now it's high risk quite rewarding already, like acceptable range. And that's actually already pretty good and pleasant like changes. So assuming they didn't change, because who knows, because the character changes so much, you should not worry if you heard like she's bad, because right now the changes make her even more feels better. That I would say it's around like almost close to Arlechhino, or even if you can min-maxing, can around Arlechhino or Neuvillete, something like that. So, and that's already pretty good. But if you expect like, is she as strong as Fu Tao or even better than Fu Tao, then of course not, because I already told you before that OFers tend to not want to make any character as strong as Fu Tao anymore. Remember Arlechhino incident? He's supposed to be around Fu Tao or even a little bit better, but they end up nerf him and still pretty solid right now. So if you want to kind of measure a strong character, just measure around Arlechhino or Neuvillete level or Navi, something like that. It's already pretty much in a strong side. And Arlechhino is around that, so yeah, it's already in a stronger side. So if you are Arlechhino safer or future Arlechhino main, just hope or pray a lot that they just don't change anymore, and just hope this is the last one. And yeah, if they just stay like this, then you should be happy because it's already in the stronger side. But considering right now the banner is actually pretty good, we have Neuvillete and Kazuha. Maybe some of you in Dillema, should you get either Neuvillete, Kazuha, or even Arlechhino? Then I will say again, Kazuha still will remain one of the best character because how flexible he is. So of course Kazuha will be better than Arlechhino just because this utility. Just because of this utility that basically Kazuha can just buff most of the character, including Arlechhino and Neuvillete. But in terms of Neuvillete and Arlechhino itself, it actually depends on your preferences and playstyle. However, what thing I can say, which is Neuvillete for sure will be easier to play just because it's just click one button and just direct to the direction that you want, Power Wash Simulator. While Arlechhino, you still need to learn a little bit technical stuff, which is pay attention to the bond of life, know the mechanic, how it works, a little bit min-maxing the rotation, survive by dodging if you don't want to use shield, something like that. So it's of course more technical and harder to play compared to Neuvillete. But in the other hand, of course, this mechanic for some people, this is more fun, of course, than Neuvillete, because it feels like kind of bringing something different in here. So yeah, it's in the end, it's very depends on the preferences. But in the end, the most important stuff that I will say when playing gacha game like Genshin Impact, just pull character that you really like. If Arlechhino hype is really you want to follow, then just pull for Arlechhino, because in the end, I say, assuming they didn't change, she's still pretty much a good character, so it will not become a waste. So if you really like hype for her, then just go for her. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want a little bit more detail about Kazuha and Neuvillete, I have what usually pull edition, maybe you can check. But other than that, yeah, that's everything. And if you like this video, feel free to hit subscribe button and like, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.